if you are afraid to do video, if you are afraid to hop on the phone, if you're afraid to door knock, you're afraid to network, if you're afraid to do any of those things, real estate is not for you. So over the last 10 years, my team has sold well over $1 billion in real estate. My brokerage has done close to 10 billion. And I've had the opportunity to coach thousands of agents build their careers. And I can tell you, these are the greatest and biggest mistakes I hear brand new agents making. Remember, there's an 83% attrition rate within the first 3 years of real estate. I want to make sure we prevent that. So here are some of the things you need to do and some of the things you should avoid when becoming a real estate agent. Number one, if you don't plan, then plan to fail. This is probably one of the biggest things I see agents do wrong, is they're all full of piss and vinegar. They're ready to be a realtor. They come into the office, they're twiddling their thumbs, trying to figure out what they do for that day. If you do not have a business plan and you do not treat this as a business, so just like any other business, you would know what the inventory levels are, you know what your costs are, you know what your lease is, you know what all your expenses are, how much you should be making per average transaction, you know the clientele you're focusing on, etc., etc., etc. If you don't have a business plan in place, you are going to be chasing your tail 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, looking for that next deal, and you're just going to be on the roller coaster of real estate. So if you're not creating a proper business plan, and you guys can reach out to me and I can send you a copy of one of the ones that we use, but if you're not creating a proper business plan, then really you're setting yourself up for failure. 2, this goes with the business plan, but it's time management. Understanding that if you're getting into real estate, you realistically need to put aside 40 to 70 hours a week. And I know that sounds like a lot of time, but like anything, you're trying to earn the same income as a doctor or another professional will without putting in the amount of time. So one of the biggest things I recommend is do not go into it part-time. There are tons of agents that I've mentored and tons of agents that have maybe been part-time for a portion while they transfer into full-time real estate. And I understand the world is extremely expensive, so it's hard to cut off one and not have an income coming in for 6 months. I get it. But then you must understand that if you have to put that 40 to 60 hours in a week in real estate and you're still running a 40-hour job week, that doesn't mean you cut from one or the other. That means you're working 80 to 100 hours a week. So if you want to create a business out of real estate, understand you need to have that proper time management. Number 3. This one's a really important one. Lead with sales. And so what I mean by that is a lot of us need to obviously learn our trade, be professional, understand what contracts are important, property market analysis. All these different things are incredibly important. However, and I've said this 100 times, you cannot be a successful realtor or get good at doing any of those if you don't have any clients to work on. So obviously this leads into business and time management of what we talked about, business planning and time management of what we talked about earlier. However, understand that your number one job, especially at the beginning, your number one job is prospecting. If you are afraid to do video, if you are afraid to hop on the phone, if you're afraid to door knock, if you're afraid to network, if you're afraid to do any of those things, real estate is not for you. And I don't mean that in a way to be negative, but even if you're afraid, that's fine, but you're not willing to conquer that fear. Unfortunately, the best of the best when it comes to real estate are the ones that are going to be absolute killers at those things that I mentioned. So understand you need to lead by sales, lead by client acquisition, lead by where am I finding my clients, which is going to be prospecting related. All right, the next issue that we come up with is people falling into analysis paralysis. So this kind of leads into the last thing that I talked about by leading by sales and prospecting. A lot of us, what we do is because we want to learn our trade so well, which is definitely important, and that goes back to time management and business planning. You should have blocks per day when you are learning and building and growing your knowledge base. However, if you are consistently stuck in, I don't know enough to move on to the next deal or to talk to a client or do any of those things, the reality is you are going to run out of money and run out of time. One thing I can tell you right now is somebody that's currently working on $1 billion project, there's a lot of things I'm learning every single day. I've never had a $1 billion listing before. And so the fact that we are working this through, I am continuously learning. Does that mean I wouldn't go after this project? Does that mean that I don't think I'm going to be able to figure out what I need to figure out along the way? Of course I will. I know how to learn and I'm going to apply myself to that. The reality is in real estate, you're never going to be able to learn every single facet of every single transaction and every single deal. So a lot of it, learn how to learn. Learn where to find this information, learn how to talk to the city, learn how to talk to other experts in your area, surround yourself with knowledgeable people, and they will help you per transaction. Is there a base of knowledge that is required? 150%. We time block that. But if you're gonna fall into this analysis paralysis where all you're doing is thinking of, what do I have to learn, instead of going out there to try to get the business, you're gonna run out of time, burn through your wad of cash, and bye-bye real estate. And so the last common mistake I see people do is they go out and they spend way too much money on things that either don't mean much or don't work. So for example is, unless you're somebody that is extremely debt motivated and you're willing to do the things that need to be done, i.e. cold calling, door knocking, all the stuff that most people hate, if it motivates you to have a stack of debt, then you do you. I'm never gonna tell you what not to. However, I've seen people go up and buy brand new cars, buy brand new this, buy brand new everything, expensive suits, expensive watches, just because they're trying to fit into a crowd. The reality is, do those things help sometimes? 100%. But remember, you are going to usually take between 90 days to 6 months before you start getting paid, if you're doing deals right off the hop, right? Depending on where you are and how the transactions work in your particular area. Understand, you should be putting money into your business that's gonna directly return those funds back. I know I spend $10 on a lead, I can put a client, I can turn that into a $10,000 commission. So I'm gonna spend my money where I'm getting the best return, not spend my money based on my being vain or looking for a way to look better to everybody in general, right? So don't fall into that trap that you have to have the white BMW as a realtor. The reality is when you make enough money and when you do well enough, I drive a big F-350 pickup truck and I have $1 billion project. People know your ability based on your results. Now, can you get into car clubs or whatever, and that's a different video of an avatar because you have a nice Porsche or a Lamborghini or something? Sure. So I'm not saying that is not necessarily a tool that you can use. However, the reality is, you need to be able to afford that tool before you can use it. All right, the last and most important thing about becoming a successful realtor right off the hop is passion, all right? Do not get into this business if it's only about money. Do not get into this business if you hate people. Do not get into this business because you want to look cool on social media. If you want to help people build their real estate portfolios, build their wealth, find their home for their family, grow a business, be an entrepreneur. If these things excite you, get into real estate. If not, understand that it is a difficult job and you will fizzle out. There's been lots of times that I hate my job, but then that passion comes back. And there's one thing that Tom Ferry taught me that I take this to heed. I write down all of the things in my life, from working out to kids to business to et cetera, et cetera. And obviously kids and family aside, I put down 3 different things. Am I interested in something? So if I asked you, hey, do you want to make $10 million? There's not gonna be anybody that's not interested in that. But if I tell you have to chop off your arm, obviously it's not as important as your arm to you. Well, hopefully it isn't anyways. So that's an interested. The next one is I'm committed to it. So whenever I'm committed to something, I'm going to be sacrificing other things to be committed to that. So that is something that's really important to me. So I'm very committed to the gym and training and eating well. So I'm going to be sacrificing going to McDonald's and sacrificing waking up early and so on and so forth. I'm committed. But the third is obsessed. And what I mean by obsessed is not in a detrimental way. I'm not talking about being a drug addict obsessed, but in an obsessed that is priority one, maybe next to your kids or your family, but that is priority one. You are going to give up the gym if you have to. You're going to give up going out with your friends. You're going to have to give up sleeping sometimes. You're going to have to give up a lot of different things. And you can be obsessed with a couple different things in your lives, which I am, but understanding that is the priority, right? That really your business is the priority. And what you'll find over the years, that obsession will bring great results and it'll allow you to slip into something more committed because you built the foundation. So anyways, I'll leave you guys with that. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, please comment below, reach out. If you're interested in getting one-on-one coaching, joining the team, or joining the brokerage, hit my link tree. Bruce, you got it in the back there somewhere, right?
It's somewhere.
It's somewhere there. Hit me up and I'd love to chat with you. Till next time, peace.